Our entire country right now is a satellite victim to Donald Trump and his ego. We still have a lot of work to do as a nation, and he still has the capacity to do a lot of harm. So if Republicans aren't able to draw a line in the sand when it comes to our own country, Republicans are tough as anything when it comes to anybody else in the world. But when it comes to our own country, it's too much business as usual. We spend so much of our resources fighting amongst ourselves, scrabbling for more control of resources, that there's so much lost just in the struggle for power. Doesn't matter what side of the ideal fence you are on, whether you prefer business ethics or humanity. So the left is over here chopping down trees that the right is growing. And the right is over here chopping down trees that the left is growing. And the rest of us are caught in the middle in a tug of war of epic proportions. If we don't start banding together, if we don't start making a stand for good in our country, then nobody else, and we've already seen in the past 3 years, nobody is willing to stand up and say, this is wrong, we're putting a stop to it. Such a thing as right and wrong. And if you don't start standing for right, wrong's going to win. Because right now, things are crumbling. But it always looks that way. The truth is, our country can be righted pretty quick when conditions are met to allow the healing in our nation. And but this shoveling everything up to the top, it's got to stop. And it's time we had some leaders in office rather than looters. Okay? Because not everything that Republicans stand for is bad, guys. You got to understand that. Most people are basic and decent. When driven into a state of fear, whenever you act or you do your thinking or you form an opinion and you're off balance, then you don't own yourself. You're owned by the people that made you that way. Simple as that. We're so stuck on labels. So what is a label? A label is something that allows you to batch program your ideas about something and dismiss it as having nothing to do with you. Give you some examples. Libertarian, Tea Party, Black Lives Matter. Different things that have been stretched, shaped like silly putty in the media. Always determined to make the ones in power look good and the ones reaching for power look weak, look stupid, look ignorant, look marginalized, look evil, look fearsome, look dangerous. So that good white people cower in their houses and hide behind a wall of indifference looking at a TV while reaching for their guns. People are reaching for their guns right now. And maybe it's time to put those guns out of reach for just a minute. Just a minute. Pause before you act. Put a comma before your belief. Do you think you're a Christian? Do you think you're an honorable person? Do you feel any pride in the way you treat others? No. When we have money, we have power, and we don't need anything else to make us feel good, except for the exercise of that power from people who are predispositioned to that power. So when we feel fearful, when we feel scared, we reach for personal power. When people start feeling like they don't have the protection of their environment is not safe, they want to empower themselves, so they go buy a gun. Americans bought 2 million guns in March, and they weren't white gun owners, for the most part. It's perfectly understandable. That is one of the things that has made our great melting pot experiment work, is the fact that we have enough guns in here in this country right now to put one in every single citizen's hand. You know, people talk about getting rid of the guns or enacting legislation. Perhaps the best thing to do is to include transparency with gun ownership. Pair it up. Everybody who carries a gun has the right to carry a gun, but they must carry a live recording at all times when they're carrying one. If you don't have a recording of the incident, then you are considered to be the one at fault. There's enough murkiness in individual experiences that a recording won't shed all the light on everything that happened. It gives you a very narrow point of view, but it's better, closer to the truth than one man's word against another. So if we don't start calming the chaos in our country, if we don't do something about it, there's nobody to blame but ourselves. This is not the kind of, this is not civilization. This is not. This is about manipulation and control. The thing is, power given is power taken. And that's what you do. When you react out of anger, when you react out of confusion, when you strike out, when you lash out at another, when you send waves of distrust to all the people around you, or when you hate another particular group, you're off balance. We create our own world, never individually. Our world is created collectively. It should be, it's supposed to be, and it's been circumvented, for the most part, from happening. Because most of America live by a certain set of ideals that we believe in the value of others. Doesn't matter who you are, where you come from, what you believe. Okay? We will give you that value while still protecting the unity of our nation. And I firmly believe that it's time for a third political party, because we've seen the results. I don't have to tell you what happens when we have two parties and it becomes hyperpartisanship. It's time to split the middle, chop off part of the right and part off the left, and start the people that feel like they believe what they believe, but they're willing to be reasonable about it, because the far right and the far left are monologues that don't receive any input. Now, right now, okay, the Republicans and the Democrats have 1/3 of the House, and the Democrats are like Cujo, frothing at the mouth. We got to get all three, and rightly so, because Trump sucks. There's no more protesting to be done. Now it's time for strategy. It's time for thought. It's time for action. It's time to start changing the country for the better. Whatever you believe in, right now, right here, this is where you need to step in, step up, and stand up for yourself and your people, and make sure that we walk forward equitable.